Hey guys, today's video is going to be showing you a quick first impressions of the Beauty Blender. I bought the original one. Picked this up at Sephora for $20. I've been hearing so many great things about it through YouTube, reading reviews on Sephora.com, also seeing it on Instagram everywhere, so I gave in and bought this little sponge. Just use it for my demo, so it's a little dirty right now. But I wanted to show you guys how it compares to a regular face brush. So I'm using the Real Techniques kabuki brush to apply it to another half of my face. So I'm going to be showing you these side by side. Interested in seeing more? Just keep on watching. So I picked up the original Beauty Blender. I picked this up from Sephora. I wanted to try a different method of using my foundation. Currently I was using my hands and also a brush, but I found that every time I pushed in the product into my skin, it would create more scaliness to my skin and also would leave a light coating, which you could see on my little peach fuzz area that I have on my face. So I've heard a lot of good things about this, and I was kind of skeptical at first, paying $20 for a sponge and also being very oily skin that I am. Wasn't too sure if this was going to be very dewy finish, so I definitely wanted to try it out for you guys to see what it is like. And each Beauty Blender looks like this. It's a nice little teardrop shape. And they're all handcrafted by themselves and not mass produced, so that's really good. They are latex free, so if you guys have any allergies to latex, it is latex free. And with that being said, the latex free formulation that they have, the water gets absorbed into the sponge, so then the makeup just sits on top of it and you can apply it like that, because that was another concern of mine. I wasn't trying to waste all of my products, your high-end foundations, anything that costs you a lot of money, you don't want to waste into a little sponge. So the way that this is, it's perfect because your product is just laying and you're able to roll it into your skin. Also, another thing to note, the dyes on these are vegetable dyes, so they're not going to cause you any irritation or anything like that if you're allergic to other types of dyes that they have. So to get started, I'm going to put this in water, and you're going to see that it's going to expand, and I'm just going to squeeze it so that it absorbs more water, and as you can see, it's just growing. Whoa. It's huge. So I'm just going to squeeze all the water out. So now your sponge looks like that. It's definitely grown double in size. It has a lot of water in it, and I'm just going to dry it with a paper towel. Just squeeze it out so there's not too much moisture in there. And that's ready to use. So I'm going to be using my foundation, which is the Matte and Poreless by Maybelline. I wanted to try something that was a little bit thicker in consistency, just to see the difference of the brush strokes versus the sponge application. So I figured that this foundation was the best since it is a thicker consistency. So on this side of my face, I'm going to use the Beauty Blender, and on this side of my face, I'm going to be using the buffing brush by Real Techniques. It's actually called the Expert Face Brush. So right now it's a little damp, it's not too dripping wet, which is perfect. So I'm just going to apply my foundation straight onto the Beauty Blender. So I've used that much foundation, and I'm going to stipple it onto my skin. And just roll the foundation. Right now it's leaving a nice satin finish on my skin. This is a very matte foundation, and it's looking pretty good so far. I do have some acne bumps right here, which is good because if you have acne and you're rubbing in your foundation with your hands or your brush, you're going to be rubbing around the bacteria that is on your face, and it will create microexfoliations, which creates little scabs and very uneven texture on your skin. So definitely liking the finish that's giving my skin so far. It's really evening out my skin tone because I have a lot of redness right here on my cheek area, and with the sponge, it's just covering all of that really nicely. So I'm going to apply a little bit more to put it on my forehead. And sorry if I'm doing it wrong, because this is my first time trying it. And I'm just going to take it down my neck to not have that uneven skin tone. It really gives you a nice airbrush finish, and I have a pimple right here that's a little scarring right now, and it definitely covered up that redness really, really well, and so I'm really impressed. Okay, that's one layer. My foundation isn't really caking right here. You can't really see that there's a lot of foundation sitting on my hair. That's very fine blonde hair that I have right here. So I really like it. You can see a little bit of my moisturizer here and my redness. So I don't know if you guys could tell, but the redness right here, it definitely evened that out for me. So far so good, I like it. So let's try now with the face makeup brush. And I'm going to be applying the foundation to the back of my hand and just dotting all over. The problem with using your makeup brushes instead of a sponge is that you're getting brush strokes, so it's not as airbrush. Then sometimes I feel like I have to go in and actually work it in with my fingertips just to make sure there's no like obvious brush stroke lines on your face that gives away the fact that you're wearing foundation. So overall, I think using the makeup sponge, I like the way that it gave me a nice satiny finish because this foundation is really matte. If I apply it with my fingers, you're going to get those very defined matte areas, whereas this, since it's with water, it does create a nice, it gives you the same effect if you were putting like a Fix Plus or something more diluted for your foundation instead of using a very thick foundation like this one. It just softens it a little bit. So I really like this concept a lot. I think it just took me about the same amount of time. I didn't feel like this took me a lot longer to just work it in. I know as soon as I get a little bit better at it, I'm going to be a lot faster. And you can use this with your concealer. This you can't, because you can't, groove into your under eyes or work in your concealer. You would have to pattern it with your fingertips or with a smaller concealer brush. So I feel like this is very multi-purpose. So I'm going to be finishing up my makeup and come back to you all with my final thoughts. So just to give you guys my final thoughts about the beauty sponge, I really enjoyed applying my makeup with this. I felt that it did not soak up an excess amount of my foundation, which is excellent. That was one of my biggest concerns with any sponge that I use. I feel like the sponge is going to absorb everything and waste a lot of the product, which if you're buying $60, $50 foundations, that's something that you definitely want to avoid. But like I mentioned before, I used to apply my foundations with my hands, but I found that a lot of my skin was flaking, even though I felt that when I was using my hands to apply my makeup and rubbing it in, it was just creating a lot of exfoliation and lifting up any scars that I had on my face. So definitely wanted to try this method. So I was watching Candy Johnson's video, and that's kind of what inspired me to purchase this myself. And she mentioned that when you have any scarring like that, this kind of just creates a soft layer for you to build your foundation on instead of rubbing it in. And this motion right here just creates more exfoliation for you and more lifted skin, whereas this is just going to place the product and flatten your surfaces. Also, she mentioned that since your skin is three-dimensional, you have bumps, and this works perfectly to go around that, whereas this creates more brush strokes. Even if you're doing like this, you're buffing it in, you're creating more damage than good by doing that, because you're brushing around your bacteria, you're just irritating the skin even more, whereas this is just lightly going over it and not causing any more irritation to your already damaged skin. So I really like this. You could use your little pointed tip for concealer. You could blend out any bronzer that you have, which I didn't put on with the Beauty Blender just for the purpose of time. But all in all, I really enjoy this. I know that there are a lot of dupes out there, but I feel that this is highly worth the price because of what it claims. It's latex free, vegetable dyes. It's definitely worth it because you are getting these products knowing what's already in them. Not like the ones that you buy at the 99-cent store, you don't really know what's in those products. These you already know, and it's been tested by many and loved. So I definitely recommend it if you guys are in the market for sponges. If you have never heard of the Beauty Sponge, Beauty Blender, I would definitely recommend this for anyone novice or, you know, expert at makeup. So definitely going to keep using the Beauty Blender to apply my makeup. I'm going to leave behind the old methods of using my fingers on my brushes. Going to keep trying this sponge out to see how it lasts. Right now, this is 2 hours worth of me applying my makeup after the demo, and I could say that it's held up pretty nicely. It gives that nice satin finish to your skin. Even though I use a very matte foundation, it's still very good and leaves a nice light coating on the skin. I don't see that it's caking anywhere, and it creates a nice luminosity. I am very oily, and I can't say that this added any more dewiness. It's just a perfect combo. You don't want your skin too dry looking, and you want that nice dewiness as well because it is more skin-like and more natural. So I really like this product. I recommend it to you guys if you guys are new to Beauty Blender, if you've heard of it but maybe didn't want to try it out. I say go for it. I was one of those skeptics that didn't want to spend 20 bucks on a sponge, but I did, and I love it. So I hope you guys liked this video and that it was helpful to you all. If you guys have any questions or recommendations, leave them down below, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!